In 1983, the Mets were 68-94 and had not been over 500 in 7 years. They had not made the playoffs since 1973. They were at the bottom of the National League. In that same year, the Mets traded for a World Series champion, 5-time Gold Glove winner, 2-time All-Star, and 1979 co-MVP, Keith Hernandez. In just 3 years, the Mets were turned into not just contenders, but World Series champions. The Mets honored Keith Hernandez Saturday by retiring his number 17 at Citi Field to commemorate the legend and his contributions to the franchise. This is the story of number 17, Keith Hernandez. Keith Hernandez grew up playing the game of baseball with his brother Gary and his father John, who was a prospect for the Brooklyn Dodgers in San Francisco. He was drafted in the 42nd round out of high school in 1971 by the St. Louis Cardinals. At the time, it was one of the last rounds a player could get drafted. He was the 776th pick out of 794. Hernandez would quickly make everyone sorry he wasn't selected sooner, as he would work his way up to the big leagues in just 3 years. After a few years getting settled at the major league level, Hernandez proved to be an up-and-coming star with the Cardinals. In 1978, he began an amazing streak of 11 consecutive Gold Gloves, the most of any first baseman in baseball history. In 1979, he earned his first All-Star Game appearance and shared the NL MVP with Willie Stargell. He would later lead the Cardinals to the 1982 World Series while driving in 94 runs. The following year, he was traded to the New York Mets. Hernandez went from winning the World Series in 1982 to playing for a team 26 games under 500 the following year. Although it was hard to see then, this trade turned out to be the best thing for Keith's career. Although the Mets were struggling at the bottom of the National League, they had a bright future ahead of them. When Keith joined the team in 1983, he was quickly surrounded by a group of young stars. Darryl Strawberry would win NL Rookie of the Year that season, and the following year, 1984, would see the debut of 19-year-old Dwight Gooden, plus the first full seasons of Ron Darling and Sid Fernandez. Here is Keith Hernandez on the importance of the Mets' young stars.
All these young guys, Darryl, Doc, Ron, Walt, Ed, Mookie, Roger, Fitzy, and Jesse. They rejuvenated my career. I was a little listless at this stage of my life, in my career, having won the final brass ring, a World Series championship in St. Louis. I needed another goal, and I came here, and these young guys inspired me and rejuvenated my career.
The Mets would go 90-72 in 1984, second in the NL East. Keith had an all-star season hitting .311 and finished second in MVP voting. Here's Keith Hernandez talking about that 84 season.
But to me, the real turnaround was 84. And we won 90 games, and everybody picked us for last. And I certainly wasn't going in with those kind of expectations. I really felt that was my greatest year as a Met.
1984 was no fluke as the Mets continued their success into 1985, winning 98 games and finished second to the Cardinals in the division. Keith hit .309 with 91 RBIs while winning his 7th straight Gold Glove thanks to a .997 fielding percentage. While the Mets were back on the map and contenders in the division, they had yet to make it back to the playoffs since they won the division in 1973. This would change in the infamous year of 1986, a year that would make Keith Hernandez a Mets legend. Hernandez batted .310 and was a starter in the All-Star game for the first time in his career. The Mets won 108 games and were first in the NL East. Hernandez had 7 hits and 3 RBIs in 6 games of the NLCS against the Houston Astros, and in the World Series had a hit and a walk in the Mets' miraculous Game 6 victory over the Boston Red Sox. Then came Game 7, where the Mets found themselves down 3-0. Keith would drive in 2 runs with a single, which propelled New York to come back and beat Boston 8-5 to win their second World Series in franchise history. Keith on that pressure-filled at-bat in the World Series.
That at-bat was not fun. Pressure was there. I had to get a base hit. Sacrifice fly was not going to get the job done. I had to get a base hit. And Hurst had been dealing, and I didn't like Hurst was very tough, particularly very tough. And I hadn't faced him that much, so I had to pretend like I had a 0-2 count on me. So and I know in the World Series in '82, I had the same situation. I had to get a base hit in that World Series in Game 7. So those 2 at-bats, even though I succeeded, were not fun. Were not fun.
It was the second World Series title for Keith Hernandez, who saw the Mets go from worst to first in his time with the franchise. He would go on to play 3 more years with New York, adding another All-Star appearance and 2 more Gold Gloves. He retired in 1990. All told, Keith Hernandez is a 2-time World Series champion, 5-time All-Star, MVP, 2-time Silver Slugger, and 11-time Gold Glove winner. In addition to his accolades, Keith means so much to this organization, to this fan base, and city. He was the first team captain in Mets history and was a leader in the clubhouse. After his career, he's been featured in the SNY booth with Gary and Ron for the past 16 years. The Mets showed their love and support for Keith on Saturday during the ceremony to retire his number 17. Before the ceremony, Keith spoke with the press on what the honor means to him.
But for this particular honor, I mean, I've always loved my teammates, and I've been particularly taken by a lot of the articles written and what they've been saying about me. But I've always considered myself a player and a teammate, and I'm one of 25. So it's very touching. So it's a good moment.
He also touched on how special it would be to feel like a player again in the ceremony.
It's another thing, too, is that my perspective of the game for so long now has been up in the booth looking down on the action with Gary and Ron. And you lose perspective when you walk on the field in front of a full house. And it used to be mundane every day when you played. You know, you go to the game and, you look up in the 5th inning and go, oh, my God, we got a full house. You know, you're just so used to playing in front of a lot of people. But I will definitely look around, and it'll be a different perspective. It'll be like old times, but I'll be in a suit instead of a uniform.
The ceremony itself was a special day. As Keith was introduced by Howie Rose, the Mets faithful broke out in a chant for number 17. Let's take a listen. In his acceptance speech, he thanked, of course, his brother Gary.
My brother was introduced earlier, Gary. You got a lot to be grateful, you Met fans, for this man right here. This game is full of ups and downs. We're fragile. He was always my good luck charm. And Gary, I love you. And I'm so glad you're here, along with the rest of everybody.
He also humbly reflected on how he viewed himself as just one of the guys on the team.
I never dreamed that we would turn it around so quickly. And I say we. It's a team. I always felt myself as just a player, one of 25. Nothing special about me. Just one of the guys. And then having a great time and working hard for a championship. And we did!
As his retired number was unveiled, Mets fans erupted in support of Keith. Hernandez did not just win 11 Gold Gloves and deliver a World Series championship to this organization. He carried and continues to carry himself as a great teammate, brother, friend, and broadcast partner for 40 years with the Mets. That is what makes Keith Hernandez and the number 17 legendary in Mets history. For WFUV Sports, I'm Sam Davis.